Hi everyone, welcome to the 5th Lagvoid tutorial part 1. I'm Fred and I'll talk here about how to manage MIDI in Lagvoid. Lagvoid MIDI input is used to control the main pedal and one button and the module levels. Lagvoid MIDI output is used to send MIDIclock, MIDI transport commands, MIDI notes and MIDI controllers to other devices. First, let's see how to trigger main pedal with a foot pedal. The most simple way is to use a pedal that sends MIDI program change. Plug it to a MIDI input. By default, any program change signal will trigger main pedal. But you can use a MIDI controller or MIDI note signal to trigger main pedal. Click on MIDI Edit. Every MIDI assignable element turns blue. Click on main pedal, click on your pedal, MIDI assignation is done. By default, any MIDI port is connected to Lagvoid MIDI input. You can select what port will send data to Lagvoid in the setup page. For MIDI controller, MIDI note, and MIDI program change, you can choose if one or all port will be connected to Lagvoid. On mainboard, we can assign MIDI controllers to module levels and define what MIDI notes will be sent by MIDI note buttons using the same process as with main pedal. If there are some MIDI devices you don't want to be accessed by Lagvoid, open the Lagvoid micro beta page, select File, MIDI Setup, and uncheck the input and output of this device in the list. Let's have a look now to the MIDI Out section. Unlike MIDI In, you must select an output port for each type of MIDI data. To do so, open Setup page and choose MIDI output port in the corresponding drop-down menu. Module levels can be sent as MIDI controller output data. It allows you to remote control other software's parameters or to use motorized faders from your MIDI control surface. To do so, go to Setup page and check Output Levels as MIDI controller to activate this feature. The 7 MIDI buttons send MIDI notes through MIDI Note Out port. We will talk about MIDIclock and MIDI transport in Tutorial 5 Part 2. Bye bye.